Good evening, teacher, and good evening, class. I'm Perin. I will summarize the chapter 7 and 8 by the sea of the village. Harry was lost and did not know what to do in Bombay. For several hours, he wandered around the black horse because he didn't know all the place. Everything was wrong around him, and he also was thirsty. Then he first saw a man who was a coconut seller. At home, Harry was just picking coconuts, not buying them, and was shocked at their price. After that, the man searched and cut off the top of coconut and handed it to him. At that time, he also talked each other and Harry tried to explain the whole situation to him. As he knew that he had given some advice to Harry, and he felt that the coconut man seemed very wise, but the man had new customer and Harry walked away. A baker called and told him not to believe the coconut man. He offered to teach Harry some tips for his lifestyle in the city for a few feet, but Harry refused and he did not want to learn such dangerous tricks from everyone, and he moved on. He saw from quite at a big distance the sea, which had reminded him of the day in Toul. He emerged from the side road onto a beautiful seaside boulevard. Harry walked between people and observing the way they live. When he suddenly remembered that, then he went and asked the nearest stall owner for direction to address. It was night when he found the building he was looking for, but it's not really dark because all the lights from the building. The building that De Silva lived in, which was called Seabird. As he shoved into elevator with other people, he found the apartment of De Silva and banging on the door loudly. After a while, the bad boy came and yelled at him. He had asked Harry and he was a rude man that he works there. There was nothing Harry could do. He took the elevator back down. Then he saw the door watchman. He is kindness and helpful. He took Harry to his friend Jagu, who can give a meal and place to sleep. The Greek Krishna eating house was the mainest and shabbiest restaurant Harry had ever seen. Harry had no money to pay the meal, so he asked Jagu if he could work, that he can pay for what he eats, and he agreed, let him work in the kitchen with other boys. Harry also met an old man who is a watch worker, and his job was doing door watch works. He also talked with Harry and asked some questions. He is really friendly and kind. He also showed him here the post office is and left him some money to buy the card and give a pen to write a letter to his mother, informing that he was fine and get a job in Bombay and he would send his money. Back in Toul, Lila and her two sisters helped Mr. De Silva in getting the luggage into the house. He and his family visit here for the holiday season. When Lila heard that Mr. De Silva was going to Alibas to go shopping, she suddenly asked him if he can take her mother to the hospital, and she also explained that there was none in Toul. For the money she will pay for walking him. Mr. and Mrs. De Silva agreed about that and promised for pay the medicine. When they arrived to the hospital, Lila's mother was carried by the nurse. The doctor told Lila that her mother was stay here to be sure for a week. They had many tests and reports for her. Then Mr. De Silva promised that he will take her back a few days. As Lila back home, at that night she began angry with her father, who always drunken. She kept shouting violence and asked her to cook to take her mother. Lila also cried and afraid of her father. For the next day, her father didn't come, and Mr. De Silva brought Lila to see her mother. She was surprised to find her father sitting outside her mother, but he didn't look like drinking. To see her mother, she was unclean than before. As they drove back home, Mr. De Silva took the report her mother case that she suffering from anemia. Now they give injection and give good food and she get well. Mr. De Silva also tells her not worry too much, and he gave a little money for her father for food and stay at a hospital. He also wanted Lila pay for working as a servant to his friend for staying Monrepo for a few months. Ever since Harry had left, Lila thought about him with her tears. For when they got off the car, Lila and Camo was standing on the lawn over the creek, waving the postcard from Harry and screaming.
Hello everyone, my name is Paulinda. I'm the presenter who is responsible for the second tag, which is about theme analysis and main message of chapter 7 and chapter 8. In these chapters, I have found two themes, which is about city industrial area and the kindness of stranger. So now let's move to the first theme, city industrial area. City industrial area refers to a large town or urban area for a large human settlement during industrial revolution. When we talk about city, we may talk about lifestyle in the city, which involve with security, environment, people, and etc. Security. When a country is going to develop, job opportunity is increasing, which people try to move themselves to live and find a job in that area. There is not enough job due to surplus of worker and qualification requirement that lead them to become street beggar or unemployed person who spend every time on the street and cause them to do some illegal activities. If you illustrate to the environmental in Mumbai, one of the biggest cities in India, that the author revealed in her novel seems like the security in the city is not secure at all, especially at night at the pavement street. At the backers, it criticized on people living there that a such job as a fool to the police and a dangerous one behind it which make a living. This statement shows how dangerous and low security in small part of the Mumbai, even though the city is one of the biggest cities in India, yet still have low security. If we look in real life society, several urban areas in India is still facing struggling to deal with internal threat of disorder such as robbery, criminal, so on and so forth. City people attitude. Because of domestic migration in the city, lead people in the city have different attitudes such as city residents with a rural background tend to retain rural and rude attitude and behavior characteristics, and some city residents with classic backgrounds tend to retain arrogant and mighty behavior. Where, for instance, of the coconut seller, the baker, and the man who is one of the Mr. De Silva servants, because they come from rural background, their word which was spoken to Harry was seemed to be rude and impolite. Like when Harry arrived at the Mr. De Silva house, he asked the servant and wished to stay, but the servant responded to Harry harshly and shouted that go away. There is no work for you here. The Sahib has plenty of servants here. He doesn't need another one, not a boy from Tours, certainly. Go. And that shows how impolite attitude of people pervert Harry, as well as in real life society. Back in 2006, based on the Times of Indian News, Mumbai, which is a big city and developed area in India, was voted as rudest city in the world through the survey. The second theme is kindness of stranger. Kindness is the quality or state of being kind, treating people with generosity and considerate when they meeting obstacles and need it. So why would strangers decide to help strangers when they don't know each other well? As we can see, there are so many people facing hardship burden in this world. Acting kind and considerate is also a motivation for poor people to overcome their struggle and to survive in this world. Where the certain theme displayed throughout chapter 8 is about kindness reflected in the experience narrators facing. When arrived Mumbai City, Harry, the young boy who comes from the rural seaside, is lonely, confusing, and destabilizing in the city. Without Jagu, he would not be able to survive in the city if it were not for the kindness of Jagu. As we have already seen how the author illustrates the kindness of Jagu that provides him food, shelter, and a job for him, as well as Mr. Da Silva, who is also a bountiful man, had compassion toward Lila and Harry's family, and give Lila a job and offering to take their mother to the hospital, pay for their mother's medical treatment, and give some money to her father to take care for the mother. Nowadays, there are so many generous people who are willing to volunteer to help the poor and people in need by doing donation, charity, volunteer, and so on. So now let's move to another part, which is about main message. The first main message is be free and independent. When you are free and independent, you become stronger in controlling your emotions and can manage things by yourself without depending on somebody else. To survive in any circumstance, you must become independent as well. Just like the quote, I fight for myself, I'm a man and depend on myself. That is the best way to be, boy. Free and independent, said by the coconut seller who was thrown away by his parents since he was young. And to survive in the big city, the coconut seller have to be independent and rely on himself without nobody help. He also gave advice to Harry not to rely on government for anything, but to rely and depend on yourself. Another main message is be confident. Be confident is also a key which leads you to achieve your goal because it leads you to be more likely to move forward with people and opportunity without fear and anxiety. You must have to stand up confidently to grab the opportunity for your goal and overcome your fear. Like a quote of Michelle Obama stated that your success will be determined by your own confidence and fortitude. Like the case of Lila, who was always a shy girl, was brave enough to ask Mr. Da Silva for help to take her mother to the hospital for treatment. If she wasn't confident enough to ask for help, her mother will get worse and she will lose her mother forever. Likewise, Harry, to support his family and get a better life, he has to be confident and brave enough to go to the Mumbai alone and find a job there. So that's all for my part. Let's move to the next part, which will be presented by Bun Lê.
So hello everybody, my name is Bun Lê and we finally arrived in the last part of the videos. I know you have been maybe boring by this point because it's a long video, I know it, but bear with me for the last part. So there will be 4 points presented in this part. The first one is the government. So I'm gonna talk about Indian government during industrial era. In the chapter 7, there is a mention about Indian government during the industrial era. How was the government? Based on the book, or to be specific, based on the coconut seller words, the government was not doing a good job at that time. So in case you haven't read that part, to quote it from the book, do you think government has eyes and can see? I tell you, the government has only a mouth and with which it eats our taxes, it our land, it the poor. So you can say the quote shows the upset or displeased of a citizen to the government. Does this feel familiar to you? Yes, here's a hint: French history. Yeah, I hope you got it. And yes, that's right. I'm talking about French revolutions. So I'm gonna take French revolutions as the real life examples to showcase these situations, this mindset. So French Revolution started in 1789. There was many causes that ignite a revolution in French. One of them is tax burden on the third estate, which was the citizens. The citizens during those times depend on harvesting and farming. The government implemented serious and heavy taxes on the farmer or on the land that they are farm on. In fact, everything the citizen owns has a tax on it, even their children. No joking, even the children has a tax bribe on top of their head. On top of that, they even raised the bread price to skyrocket. This makes the farmer very upset about the government keep on eating their money, keep on eating their land, keep on eating their taxes, keep on eating their pools. See, they have the same mindset as our coconut seller characters. So the quoted from the book that I have mentioned hinted a similar mindset as the peasants during that French Revolution time. So on to the second point, life of migrant workers. Migrant workers, a person who either migrates within their home country or outside it to pursue work. Coming to the city for work was a popular trend for people living in the small towns. City got developing, more job opportunity in the city, people flocked to the city for work. However, it wasn't always a smooth sail. It wasn't always smooth like butters. Sometimes they faced risk that was very dangerous, and the risk was mentioned in the study text, in one of the study text in chapter 8. On page 94, one old gentleman work in a workshop told some information about the two boys that work for Jagu. Their parents migrate from their hometown and live on a railway platform in the city. They were killed by the trains. They were migrant workers who come from small town to city to find work and killed by the trains. So that's the danger that they face. So I found a similar news that published by Reuters on May 8, 2020, titled it "Indian Trains Kills 16 Workers Laid Off in Coronavirus Lockdowns." So the news goes like this: an Indian train killed 16 migrant workers who had fallen asleep on the track on Friday while they were heading back to their home village after losing their jobs in the coronavirus lockdowns, police said. The news continues. Tens of thousands of people have been walking home from India's big city after being laid off because of the lockdown to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus in late March. So this is the news. Even though I know this news happens in a different era, in different time, in different situations, but it showcases the dangers that the migrant worker has to face when they choose to chase their dream and come to the city. Now, on to the third point, which is neighbors' kindness. When we talk about kindness in chapter 8, we talk about Mr. De Silvas. In the story, Mr. De Silva, even though he was just a temporary neighbor with Lila, he showed kindness to her. He helped save Lila's mother's life by bringing her to the hospitals. This kind of acts from neighbor can be seen frequently in real life scene no matter where you live. Neighbor helping each other when their house got on fire. Neighbor help reporting to police when there are robbers in towns. For instance, there was one news that I found while doing research on this study text. It was titled "Great Falls Man's Honors for helping save neighbor life." As you can see in the pictures, on a snowy October afternoon last year, Darren Kinterstone saved Bear Records from cardiac arrest. Darren sprang into action and started doing CPR on Bills. Darren helped until enough emergency personnel arrived. Later, he received a life-saving award for his willingness. So, you see, it's connecting between the study tech and real life. Dr. De Silva saved Lila's mother's life. This guy, Darren, saved his neighbor's life. So you can see this kind of acts is real in our real life situations. Now, for the last point, which is anemia. One of the insignificant ideas that some of you might not have noticed or might have forgotten is the disease that Lila Mother has. Lila Mother has anemia. So why do I choose this study tag, this point to showcase? Because it is very interesting. In fact, this is a real life health problem in India. In fact, India has a very high rate of anemia. It was classified as a major public health problem. 52% of non-pregnant women of reproductive are anemic. This according to one research article by Annie Ramohan, Niji Abueso, and Marie-Claire Robitel that published on 31st October 2011. The more concern is that most of the Indian women doesn't know that they have the disease, or they are unaware that this disease exists. Why, you may ask? I will show you this video to showcase the curiosity and the why that you wonder. And also, since this is the last part, I'm gonna wrap up through this video too. So at last, I wanted to say thank you for listening to our video presentation and paying attention to it, and I hope you learn a lot from this video. And Mulay and Group 2 is out.
Corruption,
infrastructure,
health,
Gender,
environment,
conflict, caste, art and culture.
Education,
corruption,
development,
health,
infrastructure,
Education.
environment,
Gender.
development.
corruption.
हिमाचल प्रदेश सेब के उत्पादन और कृषि के लिए जाना जाता है। कृषि का मुख्य कार्य महिलाओं के द्वारा किया जाता है। फल और सब्जी की उत्पादक होने के बावजूद प्रदेश में अधिकतर महिलाएं एनीमिया यानी रक्त की कमी से पीड़ित है, और विडंबना की बात यह है कि उन्हें ये भी नहीं पता कि एनीमिया क्या होता है। बागीचे हिमाचल प्रदेश की इकोनॉमी की बैकबोन है। बागीचों की आमदनी से ही यहाँ के लोग अपना निर्वाह करते हैं, और इनमें ज़्यादातर काम महिलाएं करती है। एक महिला का काम सुबह से शुरू हो जाता है। वो अपने घर परिवार के लिए खाना बनाती है, बर्तन और कपड़े धोती है, फिर सारा दिन बागीचे में काम करती रहती है। उसका सारा दिन काम में ही बीत जाता है। उसके पास अपने लिए वक्त नहीं है और ना ही अपने स्वास्थ्य का ध्यान। उसके पास इतना भी समय नहीं है कि वे डॉक्टर के पास जाए और अपना चेकअप करवाएं।
एनीमिया क्या होता है मुझे नहीं पता, मैं तो जानती भी नहीं हूँ। फिर हम घर में काम करने वाले हैं, खेती बाड़ी का काम करते हैं, बाग बगीचों में काम करते हैं। करते करते मुझे चक्कर सी आती है, फिर कभी कमजोरी महसूस होती है, सिर में दर्द होते हैं। फिर मैं तो क्या कर सकती हूँ ना, मुझे इतना टाइम भी नहीं मिलता है कि मैं बच्चों के सिवा बच्चों का भी देखभाल करना पड़ता है। फिर मैं जा नहीं पाती हूँ डॉक्टर के पास चेकअप।
ऐसा नहीं है कि महिलाएं हॉस्पिटल नहीं जाती। हॉस्पिटल में तो महिलाओं की कतारें लगी रहती हैं, परंतु वे अपने चेकअप के लिए कम, अपने पति और बच्चों के चेकअप के लिए उनके साथ ज़्यादा हॉस्पिटल जाती हैं। अपने स्वास्थ्य को लेकर वे लापरवाह रहती हैं। उन्हें अपने स्वास्थ्य की ना तो कोई चिंता है और ना ही अपने स्वास्थ्य के बारे में कोई जागृति है।